Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, October 30th, 2018. Taking a look at our solar wind speeds, we're sitting at a 295.3 kilometers per second with a density of 7.6. So solar wind has steadily dropped over the past several days. We are below 300, low solar wind. Also 0 sunspots to speak of right now. And this will also make now 12 days 178 days without sunspots here in 2018. We are almost, and you know what, guys, I can't believe I almost forgot about this. We have set a record today as the Parker probe. I can't even believe this totally slipped my mind thanks to SPACEWEATHER.com actually covering this here, or I wouldn't have seen this. But it says here that NASA's Parker solar probe is now closer to the sun than any other spacecraft in history, shattering the previous record of 26.6 million miles set by the Helios 2 spacecraft in 1976. The probe is now well inside the orbit of Mercury. It is a proud moment for our team, says project manager Andy Dreisman of the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. And take a look at this is CGI artist rendition of what this probe is doing right now. It is expected, I did read this earlier, that we will see around 24 times where the probe will dive around to the sun, orbit it at least 24 times over the next 8 years. Our first data dump will be in early December. So we will start seeing information on this very, very soon, but it feels like yesterday this thing took off. And to hear that it's 26 million miles close to the sun right now is impressive. So I am very excited to see what the results will be from this project. Getting back here to some of our space weather news, our TSI index today, or TCI index I should say, is at 42 billion watts. Taking a look at our KP indices is at a 1 right now, a KP of 2, and here is the latest on our SDO. And we are expecting some minor G1 geomagnetic activity to happen somewhere around the 3rd or 4th of November. And I think it's worth noting to also mention this region that I was looking at last night in the eastern limb. That active activity that I once thought was probably potential something is just nothing but brighter spots on the sun. So no sunspot activity is developing at this time. Our sun is blank. And how much longer is it possible to see this trend to continue? We are already at, 12 days in a row now? A total of 178 going on 179 days straight without sunspots in 2018. Yes, we're at 12 days. So it's possible to surpass that 2-week number without sunspots in the last almost 2 weeks now. Taking a look at our TSI, our readings for October 23rd, 2018 is going to be around 1360.6856. So still staying in that 0.6 value area, although it has increased a little bit. Looking at this before we start talking about our headlines for today, October 31st is fast approaching, which we know November 1st to the 2nd, generally Roy Spencer releases his numbers. And just like every month, I'm always curious to see what direction we are continuing to head in. So we'll go ahead and take some guesses right now in the chat. Some of you out there I know also look forward to this as well. I'm going to say that we're going to be somewhere around, for October, I would say 0.08 degrees Celsius above baseline. Just a guess. But this is the fun part about watching this stuff unfold in front of your eyes. Because last year in October, our numbers soared to 0.63 degrees Celsius above baseline. We were looking at, values in the 0.4 regions in August and September, and then shot up into October, but slowly went back down on the decline. So it's curious to see if we have that increase here, or does the trend continue to go downward? We will find out here in a couple days, guys. And I kind of meant to correlate the KP indices, and I wanted to show you guys real quick the level of activity from our sun has been very, very quiet. The solar proton flux and solar X-ray flux is practically non-existent right now. And with low KP indices, it is believed that volcanic and earthquake activity increases. Also, with that being said about earthquake and volcanic activity on the uptick, when we see lower KP indices, I'm not going to read these word for word, but I wanted to point out we had a strong 6.2 earthquake in New Zealand. This was yesterday, actually, last night. There is a green alert for shaking-related fatalities and economic losses. There is a low likelihood of casualties and damage, however. And it's important to note that this earthquake did happen on land, not in the ocean, like some of the ones that we've seen here lately. And then we had, just a day before that, a 6.3 under the Drake Passage. Only about 6.2 miles deep. And then we have the El Salvador earthquake on the 28th. So 3 days in a row, we are at 6 point or higher. And of course, we all remember the 6.8 earthquake that happened in Greece. And of course, we remember the 6.8 earthquake that happened in Port Hardy near Canada. So, and coincidentally, this entire time, we've experienced low KP indices as well. So I think there's been an uptick in significant earthquakes, the frequency. I did say a few weeks back that I thought that there would be a chance of a 7.0 or higher, and we got a string. I think there was like 3 6.8 earthquakes during that time where I had actually mentioned that. I know Dutch Sense, a lot of you folks follow him as well, and some of you have told me that he has been spot on when it comes to this. Ben Davidson, I don't want to divide. I respect Ben, and I know more about his work than I do Dutch Sense. I'm only taking some of your subscribers' comments at value, but I personally can't speak on his work, honestly. But from what I've seen from Ben, I have actually been able to absorb that a little bit better for me. I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of preference. But from what I understand, for some reason there seems like there's a divide between the two. But I say they both do great work. And while we're talking about earthquakes, we had a small eruption at Ambi Volcano in Vanuatu. This was the 30th of October. The volcano alert remains at a level 2. Direct danger to safety for life and visitors and communities remains around that 1.2 mile radius around the eruptive vent. The explosions were about 13,000 to 16,000 feet above the crater. So, nothing major here. This is a minor volcanic eruption. Local population from neighboring islands can hear rumbling from the volcano, smell volcanic gases, and see volcanic ash or a gas plume. All tourism agencies, local authorities, and general public are highly advised to consider this information. So basically, stay away from the area. They are saying the possibility of escalating activity is minor and low. There are still thousands of displaced people who anticipate returning to their home island at the end of the state of emergency next month. Meanwhile, aid is still coming in from other regions as well who want help. Activity at Ambi Lakes, Vau, was characterized only by steam emissions, and the eruption had ceased. And that was September 21st, and lowered the alert to a level 2 on a scale of 0 to 5. Leave a link in the description. So, this ain't the only area either. Rob has done a really good job keeping me on track of the volcanoes that we are experiencing eruptions from in Central America, near the equator. Samba. We've seen multiple eruptions. So just minor activity. But again, you got to wonder how long all that activity collects in our atmosphere. And before I move on further, I want to thank, again, my GSM source for helping me understand the correlation between cosmic rays and precipitation. What I've been saying on the program is that cosmic rays are responsible for these rain bombs and such. And my understanding was a bit off on that. They still are responsible, but it's not the way that I once described it. And from what I understand, that cosmic rays ionize the particulates that are in our atmosphere, which make those particulates more readily available for water vapor to attach itself to these particulates. So them being ionized, just think of these particulates being a magnet for water vapor. So sometimes when you throw a magnet and there's metal around it, multiple things combine on the magnet. Well, that's kind of the idea here with cosmic rays, ionizing the particulates, and then the particulates basically turning into a water vapor magnet, therefore collecting these bigger drops and basically taking all the water vapor it can out of the atmosphere thanks to cosmic rays. And so one has to wonder as well, the continuance of cosmic rays increasing and the water vapor that is in our atmosphere, if we continue to see cosmic rays bombard our planet the way it is right now at this rate, eventually all that water vapor, cooler temperatures are going to come with that as well. You know, I was speaking to a couple people tonight. You know me and my NOAA chats. They're always fun. It's surprising to see the divide, how much difference there is when it comes to the science of man-made global warming and the folks here that believe in global cooling. But we believe in global cooling on multiple reasons. And it's not just the grand solar minimum. The grand solar minimum is part. Okay, it's just ironic that this natural cycle happens to be taking place right now, along with the Milankovitch cycle, along with the lunar cycles that are happening. I mean, everything, there is a piece to the puzzle, and each thing contributes. So we've got solar cycles, we've got lunar cycles, we've got oceanic cycles, and they're all natural. And these things are combined. So when you talk to people about global warming and how man-made global warming in their minds is too big, that grand solar minimum can't do anything, well, maybe you're partially right. But are you telling me that all these other things that are happening too on a natural cycle that are trending in cooling is not going to be enough to dent whatever warming that we've seen? And most of us here agree in the last 20 years we haven't had any warming. It's all pretty much phased itself out. So the more I talk to people on the other side about this climate situation, the more I understand that it feels almost like how our politics feel right now between Democrats and Republicans. The man-made global warmists, that's it. There's no natural global warming crowd out there. There's nobody out there saying, no, this is all natural warming, damn it. This ain't man-made and this ain't cooling either. There's nobody in that group that's fighting this fight. It's just man-made global warming people, and then people who are skeptic of that kind of science because they remember they were taught different in the 60s and 70s and probably further back. Back then we relied on tree sediments and ice core samples. We still do. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is that there's a lot more money being pumped into our economy and through our governments, and our government is granting millions of dollars to corporations worldwide, universities worldwide, nationwide. So that's why the fight and the dream has to stay alive. Someone's got to pay their bills, right? But no, I'm serious. With all of the natural cycles that are happening right now to contribute to what's happening to our planet, big changes are on the horizon, no doubt. You've got your grand solar minimum. It's revving up right now. We're in the beginning, very beginning stages. There's so much to look at just in the solar cycles, but lunar cycles as well. our ocean cycles. And so I just feel like that, this channel has always been about the big picture. So when someone tries to say the grand solar minimum alone won't dip temperatures, well, maybe you're right. It won't do it alone, but it's going to have a lot of help. A lot of things in favor of global cooling. And that's not a good thing. I know a lot of you out there that do believe in global warming think that global cooling will solve the problems of the planet's climate. Well, it's not. And I saw Mari saw the most ridiculous meme today that stated, saying that ice ages happened and warming periods have happened before and it was natural, makes, murder impossible to happen since people die of natural causes. They're comparing life and death to this whole debate. So by me saying that natural climate change happens, this person was implying that I'm saying that murder is impossible because people die of natural causes. So that makes murder impossible. Oh boy. They're special. Let me tell you. They're special little people. Wow. All right. So moving on. Croatia, severe storms hit that area, record-breaking rain. The same storm that caused widespread damage and floods in Italy over the past few days hit most of parts of Croatia during the same period. The storm left one person missing. The entire coastline was hit by strong and damaging waves, and I'll have more on that. While some islands reportedly relatively rare siege, I think it says. Another severe weather event is expected November 1st. Lots of footage here of what happened here in Croatia. We're talking about intense rain, coastal flooding, once again. Power outages everywhere. Winds were registered at gusts up to 97 miles per hour. Average winds in the city of Split were around 51 miles an hour with gusts to 78. More footage you guys can check out on Watchers. The link will be in the description. The storm dumped a record-breaking 6.14 inches of rain on the city of Delnice on October 29th. This is the highest 24-hour rainfall total for any month of the year since 1981. And that's when their detailed measuring began. Another area received about 5 inches of rain in 24 hours. Their most intense rainfall since measurements began. Total destruction here, guys. Unfortunate. One person, a young surfer from Slovenia, is missing since October 29th after he decided to go surfing near their Savridija lighthouse, northwestern Istria, and northwest Croatia. Search and rescue operation is still in progress. Thoughts and prayers go out to this young man. Folks, you have to stay safe when it comes to these severe and crazy events. This one here got a lot of attention. This is Italy. At least 11 people have been killed, many injured after severe storms produced heavy rain and strong winds across Italy on October 29th and the 30th, 2018, causing widespread floods and damage. Some of the worst affected areas are on the west coast, particularly Liguria. Many people were evacuated due to increased river levels across the country. Winds up to 112 miles per hour were reported in parts of Italy October 29th and blamed for the deaths of at least 6 of the 11 people killed. Trees were down from the country's north down to capital Rome and further south to Naples. Amazing footage, and I don't know how much more this area can take, guys. We saw footage last night of an Italian restaurant still operating, by the way, but customers and workers alike. Here's a tree coming down. Oh boy. Still working and eating. People are sitting at the table ankle deep water. I don't know how sanitizing or how sanitary that is, but here's some pictures of the river. Here's the before and after. The bottom obviously is the before. That's quite a swell of a river there. Violent tornado raged through the city of Terentia, south of Rome, for about 10 minutes during the afternoon hours of October 29th, forcing residents to run for cover, seriously damaging numerous homes and buildings and leaving at least one person killed and dozens injured. More footage of this as well, and another weather channel here with more footage on what has happened. Destruction on the coast. Some of these folks are describing this. Where was it at? One person described this as almost like a tsunami coming in onto the coast. That was from storm surge. I mean, look at this beachfront here. Boats washed ashore. This is from October 30th. And then we had a subscriber who is a member of our Facebook group, our closed group on Grand Solar Minimum. And she wants to say hello to everyone. This is her first post in her group, and it's a sad one. I'm an Italian, and yesterday I witnessed extreme weather as never in my entire life. I used to live in Genoa before leaving the town to move into the country in a homestead, preparing for GSM 9 years ago. The coastal area of my old town was destroyed by oceanic waves that have never occurred before, with winds as fast as 60 miles per hour and 70 centimeters of rain falling in a 24-hour period. So again, this is a first-hand witness from this person here. Even where I live now, there has been never wind this strong before. Many trees fell on my property. I'm well aware of this and will be the new normal and turn even worse. But man, it's tough. So be ready and be prepared. Winter is coming, and this is a mess. So this person here is a GSM. This is what the coast looked like before the mess, before the storm. And these are landslides, water coming into the town, slamming boats up into buildings. But here's a person here who is already aware of the Grand Solar Minimum and is just for them to see this firsthand is still shocking, even though they know what's coming, even though they're aware of what's going to be considering getting even worse. And also I want to share this as well. Very strong tornadoes in Italy late autumn. And there is a plethora of footage here of tornadoes in Italy. Actually, these are older footages. But it wanted to let people know that this is actually late autumn is tornado season in western, central, southern Italy. Warm sea surface of the Mediterranean Sea and very moist air mass combined with deep troughs to produce a very unstable environment. Additionally, the deep troughs are rounded by strong jet streams, providing strong winds aloft. Interesting to see that late tornado season here in Italy, as well as here in the States. I saw a report on the Weather Channel. I know, I'm sorry, but it was the only Weather Channel that was on. So I was watching that, and they were talking about how 2018, we have not seen an EF4, EF5 tornado at all. And they were talking about how odd that was. Of course, they don't know why. But we did get a couple of tornadoes. One in Connecticut and one in Oregon. So one in the Northeast, one in the Northwest. Again, areas that don't really get tornadoes this time of year. EF0 tornado confirmed. So it was very minor. Still, winds up to 85 miles an hour zipped through the Stonington and North Stonington Monday morning, according to the National Weather Service. The storm took down trees in the area. Multiple trees were uprooted at a home on North Angula Road in Pawcatuck. Pawcatuck? A section of Stonington, I should say. And here is more footage of downed trees. Again, heavy wind everywhere. The weather is wild right now. Strong storms. And I also found it interesting that, and this was all the 29th, I believe, as well. Yes, this was yesterday. Weather Channel was also saying how late autumn can have favorable conditions for tornadoes like early spring does. And here is the damage from the minor tornado in Portland. As you see, just a couple of trailers that were knocked over. Nothing significant. I didn't hear of any deaths or anything like that from this storm. It was very minor. Actually saw a pretty funny meme about it. Someone posted a picture of their lawn furniture, and there was a chair that was knocked over, and the caption said, "We will rebuild." So that's about how strong these so these are very minor tornadoes, and I'm not trying to minimize them because they're still scary. One on the 28th, one on the 29th. So we'll keep an eye out of what's going on weather-wise. And as last night, we were pretty warm across the central plains of the United States. Much different story here in Denver, sitting at 30 degrees right now, 35 in parts of Wyoming. Great Falls is at 30 degrees, so much colder air is now filtering in the Rockies, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. Very comfortable in Southern California in the 70s. San Francisco, you're also coming in around 70 degrees. Dallas is slightly cooler tonight. We were in the 80s yesterday, now into the mid-70s. And we can see in this ridge where this warm front is now making its way across the mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and eventually into the Northeast. When I say warm front, I'm talking maybe 59 degrees up here in the Northeast before this cold air makes its way also into the Northeast. But right now, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s in parts of the Northeast. So we're already seeing some colder air in the north as well. Taking a look at our North Atlantic SSTs, still below baseline, negative 0.239, and our famous El Nino is dropping below the neutral value. We are now at 0.464 above baseline here. And we all know we need to be above that 0.5 and above. The 0.25 and 0.5, when you're in between that, that's a good signal that we're going to have a weak El Nino. Anything below that, we're looking pretty good. Anywhere from 0.24 above baseline to 0.25 below baseline is a very good indication of neutral to La Nina as well. So very interesting to keep an eye on this. We haven't been below 0.4 above baseline since around late September, almost October 1st. So we'll keep an eye and see if this continues to fluctuate up and down. Taking a look at our map, definitely looks like a little bit of more warmth in parts of the Pacific, but still a lot more cooler areas of this part of the ocean as well. Take a look at our GFS prediction model here, what we might have coming our way over the next several days. Cold enough for snow showers tonight in parts of upstate New York, as far south as Albany. Pretty much, though, your typical snow in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and upper elevations. As we move forward, high pressure used to dominate the East Coast, but here comes a big swath of moisture going across the Great Lakes into eastern Texas and getting a little bit stronger as it moves across the Tennessee Valley and Ohio valleys. And we are looking at potential flooding on the Ohio River for sure from this event. That rain will continue to move eastward and form into a pretty big low pressure system by Friday. So mostly rain for you folks out there in Ohio and Kentucky for the next several days into the weekend before you finally get a break. As you dry out up here in the Northeast, we will start to get soaked again with more heavy rain expected in the region this weekend. And the Northwest is getting ready to fire off another system across the United States, across the northern plains. Some snow on the back end of this, rain on the front end, and of course, once again, Ohio, Tennessee Valley, Kentucky, you're going to see another wave of heavy moisture, but this time it doesn't go all the way into eastern Texas like this first wave does. Now, we start getting into November, we're starting to see this colder air trying to push down further south. We see a little bit more snow developing in the regions that we're experiencing the colder temperatures right now, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, Colorado. But as this system pushes through again, that'll be all rain on the 6th through the 7th of November. Then things get a little bit quiet is what the GFS is suggesting before we start flaring up more moisture. And looks like a big system here on Saturday, November 10th, makes its way across once again the Ohio Valley, Tennessee, Kentucky, into the Northeast. And this looks to be a pretty decent sized storm, folks. And this is where I'm going to be a little concerned as far as watching if this storm shifts a little bit further south, which last night during our run, the snowy side of this stayed mainly in Canada. Tonight we're seeing a run that resembles some cold air sneaking in on the backside of this moisture front and possibly bringing snow to Erie, Pennsylvania, the south towns of western New York, of Buffalo, and the northeastern part of Ohio. But as we move forward to the November 12th, that system moves out, and once again we got another system coming in from Canada, and right behind that, another low-pressure system that the Northwest is once again firing at us. And right now, the jet stream seems to be at a more level, slanted downwards, but not so much a dip in the trough like across the Midwest of the United States. So, northeast and northwest, across the northern plains, expect more wintry action to come your way towards the middle of November. In the meantime, for the next 3 weeks, we will see solid chances of heavy precipitation in the form of rain from Texas to the Ohio Valley. So here's your first wave out of here by the 1st of November. And then your second wave, a weak one, develops by the 6th as we go into the 7th. And then once again, another storm around the 10th. So this just keeps coming at us left and right here as we go throughout November. And with the colder air that's getting ready to filter through as well, we should see our chances for snow increase as well as we get closer to the end of November. I say that because we're looking at the total snowfall between now and November 9th. Now, this again does not dictate how much is actually going to stay on the ground. This is just the amount of snow that is going to drop at this particular time period from now until November 9th. Parts of Canada, Alberta, and BC, now we're looking at 16 to 18 inches in higher elevations, and parts of the United States, Colorado, upper elevations of New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, the areas that I'm already talking about that's starting to get snow showers now, those will continue to increase, and a swath across the northern plains, which I've kind of mentioned as well, that we'll start to see increased activity towards the middle of November, and you can faintly see where it is possible that we will be looking at the northern part of the United States getting at least a few inches of snow by the end of November, if not the entire Ohio, Pennsylvania, northeast into Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska northward, and so on. So something to keep an eye on here in the next couple of weeks as the temperatures are cooling down and it is starting to feel a little bit more like fall most of the places here in the United States. Taking a look at the radar, we got heavy showers moving through the UP of Michigan. Detroit, you're all clear, so Radical Gardner, hopefully you don't get soaked or anything like that right now. It looks pretty good in your area. And other than that, guys, we don't have a whole lot more to talk about. Other than, Mari, did you want to say hello to the good folks here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel and thank them for being a part of tonight's broadcast, I suppose.
Thank you, everyone in the chat. Absolutely a blast every evening. What made me laugh? I don't even know where to start, Jake, but
typical.
No, listen. Rob said it's these systems come through Canada, not from Canada.
Well, hey, Rob, I'm okay.
No, it's Rod.
Oh, Rod.
Rod, I thought that was funny. I was like, well, if you guys are throwing them at us, at least you guys have poutine, ketchup, chips, Tim Hortons, all that. We
gravy and fries.
You.
Yep. Terrence and Phillips too. So
not many people want to wager numbers for Roy Spencer. Starman checked in.
Hello.
And he's saying 0.28. Rob's giving it a point. I'm sorry. Am I sticking my stuff in your face, Jake? Rob is saying a 0.8. And I'm saying 0.11. So we'll see. Justin L. did a super chat. And I want to thank Joseph for his PayPal donation. Thank you very much.
Rob, it looks like me and you actually agree on something, like on the numbers. That's awesome. Good to see. I'm learning, as the pupil would say.
You are choosing 0.8?
I'm choosing 0.08 for October.
Really?
Yes.
See, I'm not.
Great minds think alike, eh, Rob?
He disappeared. He showed up and
That's
then
all right.
Disappeared. So
that's all right. I'm glad everybody could make it out tonight. That's going to do it for us. Please make sure to like and share the video, subscribe, and hit that bell, guys, if you haven't already. We appreciate you tuning in tonight for our latest update. Tomorrow is going to be on the maybe side. If not, we will definitely be back by Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's possible we might have a trick-or-treat show here for a Grand Solar Minimum channel. Until then, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk soon.